I'm Clara Hensley, 27, and my world was the salt-worn estate in Driftwood Cove. The house that held me together after Nana Ruth left it behind. I thought I'd built something solid, a life with Miles, my slick-talking fiancé, whose broker charm masked a restless edge. Then I caught him selling it, my sanctuary, forging my name in a betrayal that still freezes my blood. I snapped photos of strangers claiming my porch, found emails plotting his escape to a new coast with someone else, and uncovered a shadow from Nana's past pulling his strings. I didn't break. I fought, dragged him to court, and watched his lies shatter as I took back what's mine. The twists kept coming, darker than I'd imagined. Curious how far deceit can sink, step into my story. It's a storm worth riding. Every time I push open the warped door of my seaside estate in Driftwood Cove, I feel the years settle over me like a damp shawl woven with salt and memory. This place is mine, a legacy from Nana Ruth, who raised me until she slipped away at 70, her voice still echoing in the creak of these weathered beams. I run my hands over the banister glossed last summer, its wood smoothed by my own sweat, and I swear I hear her humming from the kitchen that once smelled of warm bread. A property lawyer still cutting my teeth, I've poured my soul into this house. It's my anchor to her, to the fearless girl I used to be. Miles slips in today, my fiancé at 29, his smile a flash of white against the fog. I catch him pacing the porch, phone pressed to his ear, his voice a low murmur I can't quite catch, and I wonder why his eyes dart to the roofline like he's counting shingles. I brush it off, lost in visions of our spring wedding, picturing us laughing here under these eaves that have sheltered every tear I've shed. I climb the sagging stairs, boots thudding on worn planks, and inhale the sharp cedar tang that seeps from the walls. The sea growls outside, a restless pulse beyond the misty panes. At the landing, I grip the rail, and Nana's words hit me. Smooth talkers hide empty hearts. Her tone firm as she'd brushed my hair by the fire. It stings, a sudden ache under my ribs, and I squint through the window at the churning waves. I mutter, it's just the fog twisting my head, but that whisper clings, stubborn as damp. This house holds me, its rhythm steady beneath my feet, yet I feel it waiting, tense, like it knows a storm I can't yet see. I plunge my days into the marrow of my estate, prying rust from hinges with a screwdriver until my palms sting, coaxing new life into the porch with varnish that shines like molten honey under the afternoon sun. This house is my pulse, my sanctuary. Every swipe of the brush, every creak of a loosened nail binds me tighter to Nana Ruth's legacy. The woman who shaped me until she faded at 70. A lawyer still sharpening my claws, I wrestle property disputes in town by dawn, then return to this haven where the clamor fades to a whisper. Today, Miles lounges against the railing, 29 and wired, his jacket snapping in the wind. He pitches moving our wedding to winter, his voice taut as a pulled wire, and I flick him a glance, half smiling through the turpentine haze, too anchored in my task to argue. I'm crouched, wrestling a knot of grime from the floorboards, when my phone jolts in my pocket. I tug it free, eyes narrowing at the screen. A bank alert blazes, our joint account gutted by a withdrawal I didn't authorize. My breath catches, a snag in my chest, and I steal a look at Miles, now pacing, his phone glowing against his cheek as he mutters something sharp. I jam the phone back, mutter it's a mistake, but then a second buzz slices through, a text from nowhere, blunt as a blade. Check the house, it reads, and my heart lurches, a wild thud against my ribs. I stand, the rag slipping from my grip, and scan the walls I've bled to restore. They loom taller now, taut with a silence that prickles my skin. I clench my jaw, tell myself it's nonsense, but that command festers, a burr caught in my throat, drumming in sync with the house's restless hum, as if it's bracing for a truth I'm not ready to face. I barrel down the cliff road toward my estate, the night's fog choking my truck as I clutch the wheel, my knuckles gleaming like ice under the dashboard glow. That text, check the house, claws at my mind, a barbed hook I can't shake, and every twist of the road tightens the dread braiding through my veins. I skid to a stop, headlights carving through the haze, and there they stand. Two strangers saunter from my porch, their shadows slicing the amber light spilling from my own windows. Margot Tate, 32, looms behind them, her grin a razor's gleam as she jangles keys with a taunting flick, her eyes glinting with a victor's scorn. My gut lurches, a ship pitching in a storm, and I snatch my phone, snapping shots through the windshield. My breath a frantic hiss against the glass. This is my stronghold, my lifeline. Every joist I've braced, every night I've stitched its wounds, now ripped away. I stagger back to my apartment, the ocean's snarl fading to a dull pulse, and tear into a drawer until a deed spills out, my name slashed in Miles's crooked scrawl, a forgery that sears my vision. At 29, he's torched my foundation, bartered my blood for coin while I've spun dreams of us in these halls. I slam the desk, the wood shuddering, and wrench my laptop open. An email he didn't erase glares back. After this, new coast, new her, each word a blade twisting in my ribs. He's not just selling my soul, he's carving me out of his future. I bolt upright, fists clenched until my nails bite flesh, and the air in my cramped room thickens, heavy with a stillness that stings. This treachery floods me, a current dragging me under, and my house, my shield, waits miles off, its heartbeat snatched, leaving me stranded in a darkness that's crept too close too fast. I perch at the kitchen table across from Miles, my heartbeat a coiled spring as I nudge a steaming mug toward him, my smile a brittle veneer stretched over a simmering core. Rage churns in my gut, a molten tide, but I leash it tight. The photos, the forged deed, that email's poison from last night ignite a strategy I'm already weaving. He gulps the tea, his chatter about stocks a careless hum, and I tilt my head, studying the jaw I once kissed, now a puzzle I'll dismantle. I rise, the chair grinding against the floor, and slip into the hall, snagging his buzzing phone from the counter. A glimpse of Margot flashes before I drop it, my pulse spiking. Later, I storm into Beatrice Langston's study, 58 and forged in iron, my godmother's eyes a hawk's as I unload the ruin, strangers claiming my porch, Miles's scrawl defiling my name, his scheme to flee with another. Her fist thumps the oak desk, a drumbeat of fury, and she pledges to cleave through the courts, her growl a vow etched in stone. I draw from her fire, my resolve a blade taking shape, and we plot. She'll wrench open a hearing while I scour his lies, peeling back months of rot he's buried under my roof. Back home, I linger by the window, the dusk a heavy shroud, and watch Miles amble in, his phone clutched like a lifeline. I feign a cough, my fingers itching to claw the truth from him, but my mind sharpens, a trap springing shut. Beatrice's call pierces the gloom, her voice a storm's rumble. It's not just Margot. Miles is knotted with an enemy Ruth crushed long ago. My lungs seize, a gasp snared in my throat, and I recall Nana's old tale of a swindler she'd outfoxed. This war is mine to wage, a silent inferno I'll stoke, and my house, my spine, stands waiting for me to seize it back. I plant myself in the courtroom, my spine a steel rod as I lock eyes with Miles across the gleaming oak, his smirk a brittle shell buckling under my glare. At 27, I forged my anguish into a spear, and I thrust it now. Photos of intruders on my porch, bank records, that forged deed cascade like a flood breaching a dam, drowning his lies in their rush. His gaze wavers, a trapped fox's twitch, but I surge forward, my voice a river's roar slicing through his flimsy facade. The judge, tethered to Beatrice's iron will, slams her gavel with a crack, shredding the sail and handing my house, my bedrock, back to me. Beatrice, 58, nods from the gallery, her eyes a flint spark igniting my resolve, and Miles, 29, reels, his web of deceit collapsing as fraud charges lash him like a gale's whip. I pause, the room buzzing, and see Nana Ruth beside me, her calloused fingers guiding mine to mend a cracked sill, her quiet strength a flame I've kept alight. Then Miles's first tour flickers, his hollow praise for the beams a sham, and I declare, fierce and unshaken, "It's not a house, it's the frame that holds my soul." The words thunder, a wave crashing, and the crowd hushes, caught in their swell. Then the ground shifts. His old partner, a lean figure etched with spite, stalks to the stand, his voice a rasp as he snarls, "Ruth outwitted me on a land deal 20 years back, left me broke, so I fed Miles the bait." My chest tightens, a knot of iron, and I watch Miles deflate, not the mastermind I'd cursed, but a dupe stripped bare. The gavel drops, a cannon's boom, and I stride out, the courthouse doors parting to a sky scoured bright by storm. Triumph blazes in my veins, a wildfire's heat, yet it's tinged with a bitter ache. My house stands mine, but the faith I poured into it lies splintered, a scar I'll heal on my own terms. I cross the threshold of my estate, the salt wind whistling through the open door as I breathe in the musk of aged oak, a scent that wraps me like a worn quilt stitched with years. The courtroom's echo fades, and this house, my bastion, claims me back. Every knot I've sanded, every pain I've polished, pulses beneath my boots, alive again. Triumph still hums in my marrow, a steady glow, but it's braided with a quiet bruise, the ghost of trust I'd poured into Miles, now scattered like ash. I haul his suitcase to the yard, the zipper snarling as I pile his shirts atop a makeshift pyre, and strike a match. Flames leap, a hungry dance against the twilight, consuming the weight of him I no longer carry. Smoke curls skyward, a spiraling farewell, and I feel my shoulders lift, unburdened by the girl who once believed his vows. I drift to the porch, my fingers tracing the railing's fresh grain, its surface a testament to my hands alone, and the horizon glimmers, a ribbon of silver stitched into the sea. The cliffs roar below, a primal hymn, and I sink into the moment, the house's heartbeat syncing with mine, a rhythm I've reclaimed. Then the mail slot clatters, spitting a letter onto the floor. Miles's scrawl pleads from jail, a whimper of debt, not remorse, and I let it lie, its ink a fading echo I won't answer. My gaze lifts to the eaves, their edges softened by dusk, and I see this place anew. Not just a shelter, but a forge where I've tempered myself, steel drawn from ruin. The wind shifts, tugging at my hair, and I taste salt on my lips, a promise of renewal. Victory is mine, a hard-won ember fanned to life, yet it's edged with solitude. This house stands whole, its walls my own, and I'll build from here, not on the sand of someone else's lies, but on the rock I've made myself. I greet the dawn in my estate, sunlight streaming through the panes like liquid amber, washing the floors I've fought for in a radiance that hums with redemption. This house looms as my bulwark. Every joist I've reinforced, every scar I've mended chance of a life I've wrested from the ashes of Miles's treachery. At 27, I've cast off his echo, the wedding a faint shimmer lost to the tides I've left behind, and I anchor myself here, steadfast as the cliffs that guard my shore. Beatrice, 58, sweeps in one morning, her voice a rugged psalm as she presses me to forge this battle into a fund, a shield for others tangled in webs like the one I've slashed through. I seize it, my will a torch blazing bright, and we craft it. A charter etched with my defiance, aiding the betrayed, this house its pulsing root. I stride the porch, the oceans rumble a deep refrain beneath my feet, and my fingers grip the railing, its polished grain a hymn to my toil, not his shade. Miles's letter molders in a drawer, its desperate bid for a deal a whisper I've smothered, while I stand unbowed, my eyes tracing the horizon's endless sweep. Then a neighbor trudges up, his breath a puff in the chill. Ruth didn't just fend off a land shark, she buried Jasper Klein's scheme to gut this coast, kept it wild, and I freeze, her cunning a sudden gust igniting my blood. A legacy sharper than I'd dreamed. This isn't just my haven, it's my anvil. Here I've struck myself whole. Sinew forged from ruin, the wind howls, a bold anthem rattling the rafters, and I lean into its call, my roots plunging into this earth I've claimed. Triumph cloaks me, a steady blaze I've kindled, and though solitude thrums within it, I'm complete. This house rises, its walls my echo, a woman shaped by her own fire, rooted on a bedrock no storm can shatter. I've learned this house is my marrow, not just timber. It braced me when Miles's knife struck, teaching me that betrayal can scar, but never sunder a soul that fights back. Nana's fire didn't just warm me, it flared through Jasper Klein's ruin. A legacy that armored me against storms I didn't see coming. From those ashes, I forged strength, turning my wounds into a beacon for the betrayed. A fund rooted in this defiant ground. What's your anchor when trust shatters? Has a betrayal ever carved you anew, or a hidden legacy lifted you from the wreckage? Tell me your battles below. I'm eager to hear how you've risen. Until we cross paths again, may your roots grip tight through the gales, and I'll meet you where the shore whispers fresh beginnings. Eager for your tales of grit and grace.